Investigators believed he lived in the St. Paul area for at least 8 months before fleeing the area last July.
I don't think that this man took a hiatus from rape, battery, and homicide just because he was visiting relatives in the Twin Cities.
Evelina Giovi is the director of a group that helps area prostitutes get off the streets. By her count, 8 prostitutes were murdered in the Twin Cities area between 1992 and 1993, crimes that remain unsolved. Many of the women were strangled, just like Klepper's victims in Chicago. She, along with investigators, now want to know if Klepper is linked to these crimes or others in the area.
Yeah, we're going to be looking, and I know that the homicide unit has been in communication with the BCA, and we're going to be looking to see if there's anything that matches up with his methods down in Chicago.
Again, we need to emphasize that at the moment here in the Twin Cities, Klepper is only wanted for the sexual assault charge he pled guilty to in St. Paul. But as his murder confession grows, so do the questions and concerns about the time he spent here. Investigators are now revisiting those unsolved cases, and Giovi says she's planning on passing around Klepper's picture to see if any prostitutes recognize him on the streets. Gary?
Thanks, Doug. Up next on Minnesota 9 News, a missing girl is found, safe and sound. It's a happy ending, but a troubling story.
This is stupid that the mother would have let this happen.
It was one wild ride and a scary one. Kids were bounced around like ping pong balls. Thanks to a quick-thinking passenger who stopped the bus, no one was seriously hurt. What is all this? And who's responsible? Meet the Minnesota man who brings this talent to courts all across the country.
With summer just weeks away, the competition for your vacation dollars is heating up. I'm Lori Aoki. I'll tell you about a new strategy to keep you here and bring more visitors to Minnesota.
Neighbors are calling her the mother who cries wolf.
And tonight, New Brighton police say they're trying to figure out what to do with a woman who can't seem to keep track of her children. Tom Lydon has the story.
Familiar? Have you seen her around before?
A little girl is missing.
We have no indication of any foul play.
But 4-year-old Angela Thacker's gone without a trace. She was last seen 4 hours ago in the apartment playground.
I got more guys coming back, finishing up.
Police quickly set up a command center. 20 volunteers are brought in.
Has anybody walked around the edge?
They begin searching the area, which is loaded with places for little children to hide. A boat is also brought in for the worst-case scenario, to search a nearby lake.
And we didn't even brought her home 3 times, you know?
Before long, we start hearing a disturbing story from neighbors, that this happens all the time.
She broke her home all by herself. She never watching her kids. All the time.
She's been wandering off by herself. Everybody there brought the little girl home at least one time themselves.
And one officer tells us the mother's called police at least 3 times to report her daughter missing.
Like when you bring her, the mom just, you know, here's your daughter. You know, here is your daughter. What's up with you, you know?
The mother comes out of her apartment only once during the search, when there's word her daughter's found.
There's no school today.
The girl's former school bus driver says she just saw Angela at school, right where she should be.
Dark, and I knew that they go over to the community center, and they were just walking back, and there she was at the end of the line. There she is over there.
Yeah, we got her.
Minutes later, Angela is back home, hiding her face, scared with all the commotion around her. In the background, police talk about calling in child protection, but decide against it. Neighbors are furious. You can hear them in the background, too.
This is stupid that the mother would have let this happen.
New Brighton police plan on watching the situation at home carefully. There's concern not only about that 4-year-old child, but also 2 younger children in the home as well. Robin?
So tell me, do we know what happened to the little girl? How did she wind up at the school?
Well, the mother was under the impression that she didn't have school today. Apparently she did, and the girl just hopped on the bus like she always does. An honest mistake? Cops and neighbors seem to believe there's more to it than that. They seem to believe there's an underlying problem in the home. And
like
that's why they plan to keep on watching it.
Okay, thanks, Tom. We have an update on that plane crash in Blaine last night. The FAA is continuing its investigation into why the single-engine plane went down. The Cessna apparently sputtered, then stalled out just before tumbling into a heavily wooded area. 2 people were in the plane, 17-year-old Aaron Svobodny, and a 38-year-old St. Paul man. They're both in the hospital. Rescuers who found them say their legs were broken. The crash happened a few hundred yards from a house where Svobodny's girlfriend lives. It's possible he may have been flying over the house on purpose.
family and friends of Jody Huisentruit will launch another effort to try and find the missing television anchor woman. On Saturday, 30 people will hit the streets of Mason City, Iowa, looking for clues to her mysterious disappearance. Police think the Minnesota native was abducted from her apartment parking lot one morning on her way to work. Huisentruit has been missing for nearly a year.
A subsidiary of Minnesota's 3M Corporation takes a big step against cigarette ads. 3M Media will be the first billboard company to stop all tobacco advertising. Company officials say they made the move at the request of stockholders. Many feel advertising cigarettes goes against 3M's reputation as a medical supply maker. The move is drawing high praise from President Clinton, but the tobacco industry says 3M allowed religious activists to pressure them.
Minneapolis doesn't do enough to safeguard its water supply. That's the conclusion of one AIDS activist group. The group announced today that Minneapolis and 5 other big cities take little action to stop a parasite that can live in drinking water. The parasite is called Cryptosporidium. That's the bug that made 400,000 people sick in Milwaukee 3 years ago. Nearly 100 people died in that outbreak. It can also be deadly for AIDS patients with weakened immune systems. Now the EPA is ordering large cities to test their water and find out how to deal with the problem if there is one. According to the Minnesota Health Department, they don't test for the parasite because the tests are not reliable.
He's preached the gospel to the mighty and the meek for 50 years. Now Billy Graham is getting his earthly reward. The evangelist has been awarded the Congressional Gold Medal. In a ceremony honoring Graham and his wife Ruth, President Clinton hailed them both for the outstanding and lasting contributions to morality, racial equality, and religion. Graham's ministry has reached more than 210 million people in 185 countries. He's been a sounding board for presidents since Dwight Eisenhower. Age and Parkinson's disease has slowed Graham down, but he says he wants to go on preaching as long as God gives him strength.
One of the men who tried and failed to put O.J. Simpson in prison was in town tonight. Christopher Darden made a stop at KSTP AM promoting his new book, In Contempt. In it, Darden writes about racism, his relationship with Marcia Clark, and he also creates his own scenario of O.J.'s actions.
But nevertheless, we're able to see who he is. He is a batterer. He fits the batterer's profile. You have the physical evidence at the scene. It's easy pretty much to reconstruct, I think, much of what happened.
Our guest is Christopher
Darden's book is the first one out from a member of the prosecution team.
When we come back, students take a wild ride when their bus driver passes out.
It's becoming a billion-dollar business worldwide, but it doesn't come with a guarantee. What can go wrong on the Laser's Edge in tonight's inquiry?
You're watching Minnesota 9 News, named Best Newscast in the Twin Cities by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association.
Something fresh is coming up at Subway, presenting Subway's fresh value meals. Take a peek at any of 7 sandwiches. Fresh baked bread, all made right before your eyes. Now get a 6-inch sub with chips and a 22-ounce soft drink, starting at $2.99. Subway, no better value on land or sea.
Dodge Ram is number 1 in resale versus Ford, Chevy, and GMC. Number 1 in horsepower. Number 1 in torque. Even number 1 in payload and overall power. In fact, Dodge Ram is number 1 in more categories than any full-size pickup. So it should come as no surprise that across America, Dodge pickups are number 1 in sales growth. Now get up to $570 in savings on the hottest truck on the road today, Dodge Ram.
We're recommending a hardware, software, and network services package that will connect our remote users with all our corporate resources.
If I'm not mistaken,
I've tried that already.
don't we already have a WAM?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Just make it work.
The remote user issue was not a priority at that time.
You saw this, right? This is great. This is what I need.
Come on, do it again. Do it again.
No.
Come on. Come with me and talk to me about it.
You're going to get this, right?
How long before we have the website?
I've tried that already.
Why can't we use the network we have now for video conferencing? That's not an answer for it.
Yeah, so that's what that was about.
Well, they got to understand you can't go back to the other way.
Hold on. Look,
Has 83rd Street dropped off the network?
I gotta call you back.
Okay, whatever. I'm not going to wait up.
Rebecca. At least for now. It's going. We know when you have a network, you have problems. We make networks work. We're enterprise networking services from US West. 800 Data, USW.
Looking to do a little home improvement this spring? Drop your sledgehammer and pick up your remote. Watch Home Improvement on UPN 9 weeknights at 6 and 6:30.
Then listen to the Dave Ryan in the Morning Show on 101.3 KDWB at 7:20.
Answer home improvement trivia questions, and you could win $500 and $2,500 shopping sprees at Menards, pizza parties from Domino's, and more. So watch Home Improvement on UPN 9. Listen to 101.3 KDWB and win.
Closed captioning of Minnesota 9 News is made possible in part by Alina Health System.
It's one of the biggest drug busts of all time. Federal agents have arrested more than 130 suspected drug dealers, all from the Mexican mafia, they say, brought down by a 19-month-long undercover operation called Zorro 2.
It simultaneously dismantled the organization that owned the cocaine and a second organization that ran the transportation system.
Reno says the organization was smuggling tons of cocaine from Colombia into the U.S. through Mexico. In today's raids, agents in Operation Zorro 2 seized 6,000 kilos of cocaine, worth an estimated $100 million. An anti-drug speech has the president in hot water in Miami. The Dade County School District is demanding an apology. A district spokesman says a black student was initially chosen to introduce the president for his speech in Miami, but was replaced when the White House called and told them to pick a white female student. The White House says black and white had nothing to do with it. The president's press secretary says that he didn't make the call, but all they were asking for was a student with real-life experience in fighting drugs.
Everything is back to normal now, but last night it was chaos on a New York subway. A fireball roaring from under a subway car stranded hundreds in the dark. Thousands of others were evacuated from the tunnel. It happened right at rush hour. About 35 people suffered minor injuries. Service was stalled on 3 lines for hours. Officials say they're still investigating the flash fire, but it appears to have been caused by a faulty transformer. Bankrupt and $43 million in debt, subway gunman Bernard Goetz plans to leave New York. His attorney says Goetz has been getting job offers from around the world and is leaning towards a position at a Boston electronics firm. Last month, a jury found Goetz was unjustified in shooting 4 black men on a subway train after they asked him for $5. One of the men was left handicapped and brain damaged. Under New York law, Goetz must pay his victim 10% of his salary for the next 20 years.
What you're about to see is one of the wildest, scariest bus rides anybody has ever taken. So stop and take a moment and look at this. It happened to a group of school kids in Indiana, and the whole thing was captured on videotape. From our CNN Satellite Center, Andrea Arsenault has the unlucky ride on bus number 13.
It's probably the nightmare of every parent sending a child to school on a bus. This past Monday in Knox, Indiana, a school bus driver taking children home had a seizure. He lost control of his bus as it began heading toward a river and a decrepit old bridge. A surveillance tape shot inside the bus shows how the children were thrown about when the driver passed out. Both police and local school officials are crediting 17-year-old John Waldron with saving the children. The tape shows Waldron moving toward the front of the bus after he realizes the driver is having problems. According to reports, Waldron was able to put the bus's emergency brake and stop the vehicle, but after it slammed into the bridge and tossed the children about. The bus came to a rest just past the bridge, and Waldron was quick-thinking enough to turn off the motor and call the school on the radio. The children suffered minor injuries, and for his part, the 17-year-old Waldron says he's just glad it came out all right.
You can't say what would happen. We're just glad that what could happen didn't happen, and what did happen.
Investigators say it's amazing the bus was able to cross the bridge and didn't slam into the river. Andrea Arsenault, CNN, reporting.
It's hard to believe after seeing that tape, but none of the children was seriously hurt, just some bumps and bruises. Not even the little boy in the back in the blue shirt. Not seriously hurt. The bus driver was hospitalized and released. He's going to be okay. But school officials say they will not let him drive again until a doctor certifies that he's okay.
Somebody was watching.
Without a doubt.
Yes.
Boy, it looked like Apollo 13, the way that kid was floating in the back and came crashing down.
Scary.
But just bumps and bruises. Lucky.
Yes. Up next in entertainment, it's work.